property! You're trespassing!
Yeah.
Okay.
Your property. I was here first.
The scream of a power drill ripped through the dawn, shredding the quiet of my backyard. I jolted awake, heart hammering, the sound clawing at my nerves like nails on glass. Beyond my window, the skeletal frame of a construction site loomed where my wildflower meadow once stretched. A meadow I'd tended for years, its colors a quiet rebellion against the manicured lawns of Willow Creek Estates. Now it was a mess of steel beams and concrete slabs, the air thick with dust and betrayal. My neighbor, HOA President Evelyn Warwick, stood at the edge of the site, her silk blouse pristine against the chaos, directing workers with the calm authority of someone who'd already won. She'd built her dream villa on my property, without a word, without permission. And I'd let her, watching in silence as the structure rose, waiting for the moment to claim it all. It started 3 months ago with a letter slipped under my door. The HOA's embossed letterhead gleamed under my kitchen light, the words crisp and official. Notice of boundary adjustment. My backyard, it claimed, had been erroneously designated as mine due to a surveyor's mistake a decade ago. The HOA, led by Evelyn, proposed a minor correction to align the property lines with the original plat. I'd lose half my meadow, 2 acres of wildflowers I planted after my wife, Clara, died. It was our place, her place, where weeds scattered her ashes under the stars. The thought of losing it felt like losing her all over again. I called Evelyn that night, my voice shaking. This can't be right. That land's been mine since we bought the house. Her voice was honeyed, soothing, the kind of tone you'd use on a child. Oh, Rachel, I know it's upsetting, but the records are clear. It's a clerical error from before my time. We're just fixing it. Fixing it. I gripped the phone, pacing my kitchen. That's my land, Evelyn. Clara's land. I understand it's emotional, she said, her sigh practiced. But the HOA has to follow the law. Come to the next meeting, and we'll sort it out. The meeting was a circus. The Willow Creek Community Center smelled of stale coffee and Lysol, the fluorescent lights buzzing like trapped flies. Neighbors packed the folding chairs, their faces a mix of boredom and unease. Evelyn presided at the front, her silver hair pulled into a tight bun, her smile a blade wrapped in velvet. She presented the boundary issue with a PowerPoint, all clean lines and legal jargon, as if my meadow was just a box on a map. I stood to speak, my hands trembling, but her allies, Tom the treasurer, Linda the secretary, cut me off with procedural nonsense. Motions, votes, due process. My neighbors avoided my eyes, their silence louder than any argument. I left the meeting humiliated, my throat tight with unshed tears. Back home, I pored over my deed, the survey from when Clara and I bought the house. The lines were clear. The meadow was ours. But Evelyn's letter cited a new survey, one I'd never seen, stamped by a firm I didn't recognize. I called the county clerk, a lawyer, even the surveyor's office. Each hit a dead end. Missing records, vague answers, or talk to your HOA. Paranoia crept in, a slow poison. Was Evelyn lying? Or was I the fool, clinging to a memory the world didn't care about? Weeks passed, and the whispers started. At the mailbox, Mrs. Carter, who'd lived here longer than anyone, muttered about Evelyn's special projects. At the grocery store, Tom's wife let slip that the HOA had big plans for the backlots. I started noticing things. Evelyn's car parked late at the community center, lights burning past midnight, unfamiliar men in suits walking my property line with clipboards, a new lock on the HOA records room. Each clue was small, easy to dismiss, but they piled up like kindling. Then the construction began. I came home one evening to find my meadow roped off, bulldozers tearing through the wildflowers. Petals scattered like confetti, crushed under tire tracks. I stormed to Evelyn's house, my pulse pounding in my ears. She answered the door in a cashmere sweater, her smile infuriatingly calm. What the hell is this? I thrust a photo of the destruction at her. You're building on my land. Rachel, please, she said, stepping onto her porch. The board approved this. It's a community enhancement project, a new pavilion for everyone. A pavilion? I laughed, bitter and sharp. That's a mansion, Evelyn, and it's on my property. Her eyes hardened just for a moment. The survey says otherwise. If you have concerns, file a formal complaint. The process is in the bylaws. I want to scream, to shake her until that perfect facade cracked. But I saw the workers watching, their radios crackling, and I knew I was alone. I went home, poured a glass of wine, and stared at the growing skeleton of her pavilion. It wasn't a pavilion. It was a villa, marble columns, arched windows, a footprint that screamed money. $6 million worth, I'd later learn, funded by HOA reserve funds and private investors. My land, my loss, her gain. I could have fought then. I could have called a lawyer, rallied the neighbors, chained myself to the bulldozers. But something stopped me, a cold, calculating voice in my head. Clara's voice, maybe, or my own survival instinct. Let her build. Let her think she's won. I started researching quietly. Property law, HOA regulations, fraud. I dug through county records, old emails, anything I could find. I stopped going to meetings, let Evelyn think I'd given up. Neighbors stopped by with pitying looks, offering casseroles and platitudes. It's just land, they said. You'll move on. I smiled, nodded, and kept digging. The villa grew, a monument to Evelyn's ambition. At night, I'd stand at my window, watching the floodlights bathe it in an eerie glow. It was beautiful in a sterile way, white stone, glass walls, a pool that shimmered like a taunt. I hated it, but I let it rise, each brick a step closer to my plan. I found a new survey, buried in a county archive. It was a forgery, the signatures mismatched, the dates inconsistent. I found emails between Evelyn and a developer, hinting at offshore accounts and discrete transfers. I found a neighbor, Paul, who'd been bribed to stay quiet. A new car in his driveway, courtesy of Evelyn's friends. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd expected. This wasn't just about land. It was about trust. Neighbors I'd shared wine with, laughed with, now complicit in her scheme. Paul's wife, who'd bake me cookies after Clara died, knew. Tom, who'd coached my nephew's soccer team, knew. They'd all looked away, bought by Evelyn's promises or scared into silence. I felt sick, hollow, but the anger kept me sharp. The day the villa was finished, Evelyn threw a party. The neighborhood buzzed with string lights and champagne flutes, the air thick with perfume and lies. I wasn't invited, but I went anyway, my folder of evidence tucked under my arm. The villa gleamed, its chandeliers casting golden light across the crowd. Evelyn stood by the pool, her laugh carrying over the music. She saw me and froze, her smile faltering. Rachel, she said, approaching with a glass of wine. I'm glad you came. Let's put this behind us. I didn't smile. This is my land, Evelyn. And this villa? It's mine too. The crowd hushed. Her eyes narrowed, but her voice stayed smooth. Don't make a scene. You've lost. Accept it. I opened the folder, handing copies to the nearest neighbors. The forged survey, the emails, bank records showing HOA funds funneled to her accounts. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Paul dropped his glass, the shatter loud in the silence. You built this with stolen money, I said, my voice steady. On stolen land. I filed with the county, the state, the FBI. They're coming for you. Evelyn's face went white, her composure cracking like thin ice. You're lying, she hissed, but her voice shook. Am I? I stepped closer, my anger a living thing. You thought I'd roll over. You thought you could take everything. But I let you finish this monstrosity because I knew. Once it was built, it'd be mine. The neighbors turned on her, their whispers turning to shouts. Tom tried to slip away, but someone grabbed his arm. Linda burst into tears, babbling apologies. Evelyn stood frozen, the queen of Willow Creek dethroned in her own palace. The legal battle was brutal, but I won. The villa was deemed mine, compensation for fraud, emotional distress, and a dozen other charges. Evelyn's assets were seized, her allies exposed. Some neighbors moved away, unable to face the shame. Others stayed, their trust in each other fractured beyond repair. I walk the villa's halls now, its opulence a hollow victory. Clara's meadow is gone, her wildflowers buried under marble and lies. I keep one room untouched, filled with photos of her, of us, a reminder of what I fought for. Sometimes at night, I hear whispers outside, neighbors, maybe, or just the wind. The villa's mine, but it feels like a tomb built on betrayal and loss. I won, but at what cost? The HOA is disbanded, the community fractured, and I'm alone in a house too big for one. I wonder if Evelyn knew, all along, that her victory would be my prison.